Hi, so this video is going to just talk you through scientific notation. You've probably seen it before. It's incredibly useful and it helps us to write really big numbers or very small numbers. And we're going to look at how we can do that just normally by hand and also how that plays out with our calculator. Okay, so let's take this number here. Okay, it's reasonably large, so 5,620,000. Imagine if you'd won that in the lotto. Woohoo! Anyway, to write this in scientific notation, all we have to do is see where we're going to move the decimal place. Now, the one catch, the one rule that we have with scientific notation is you are only allowed one number before the decimal spot. Okay, so we have to write this as 5.62, and we're going to times that by 10 to the how many times we've moved the decimal. Okay, so we count. Here's a decimal at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this becomes 5.62 times 10 to the 6, and that's it. Okay, technically, if we said 56.2 times 10 to the 5, well, that would be the same number, but this is not in scientific notation because you've now got two numbers before the decimal point. Okay, so that would not be accepted. Okay, so do one more. Again, right at the end, here's our decimal here. So where are we going to move it? 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So this will be 1.045. Now we don't have to put the 0 at the end because it makes no difference. Times 10, and how many spots? We had moved it 4 spots. Okay. Notice the next number, it's now very small. So same rules apply. We want to put our decimal right here. So it wants to be 3.8 times 10. Now how many spots do we move our decimal? This time our decimal is this over here. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're moving it 5 spots, but it's in the opposite direction and it's a small number. So what do you think has to happen? I can almost hear you say it, right? It has to be a negative in front of that power. We'll do one more just to make sure that we have the hang of it. So again, we look over here, it's 7.42 times 10. We can already put our minus there because we know it's a small number. So now all we have to do is count how many spots we move our decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's to the negative 7. That's it. Done and dusted. Okay, so that's how we write ordinary numbers as scientific notation. Now here you can see we've got a number written in scientific notation. Well, how do we write it as an ordinary number? Well, again, from what we've learned before, because this here is a positive value, that means it's going to end up being a large number, not a small one. And again, from what we heard before, this is telling us that we're going to have to move our decimal 4 spots. And obviously to make it a bigger number, we have to move it to the right. So if I've got this, let's go 3.01. Oh, sorry, that's touched the screen there. Sorry about that. We'll get out of that one. That was my pen won't work. Okay, so 3. Technical difficulties. 3.01, we have to move it 4 spots to the right to make it a bigger number. Obviously, if we moved it the other way, it would be a decimal number, a smaller number, and that's no good. So these blank spots we're going to fill with zeros. So my number becomes 30100, so 30,100. Okay, so again, we look at our value here, it's positive, so we move our decimal that many times to the right. If we're looking at the next one, clearly we can see this is a negative number, so that means it's going to move 6 spots to the left. So if we take our 7.5, write it here, so sometimes you have to have a bit of a scrap bit of paper. We're going to move it 6 spots to the left now because we're making it smaller. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where we put our decimal. and we fill all of these with zeros. Now I like to put a 0 in front of my decimal just so it doesn't get lost. So there it goes. So 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 5. And there we have it. Okay, the more you do of these, the more you'll come up with a bit of a, routine about how you can see a shortcut, but that's it in a nutshell. Okay, what about our calculator? Our good old friend, our graphics calculator here. So let's go into that. So we know that 2 divided by 98,320 is going to be a really small number. So 2 divided by 98320, and I could have used my fraction button if I wanted to, but I've gone with that. Now we see that this is your scientific notation, so just like we've done before. Now I don't want to write every single one of these numbers, so I'm just going to take the first 3 there, so 2.03. So this becomes, oops, it's done it again. Okay, so 2.03 times 10, and you can see here, times 10 to the minus 5, so we just pop that over there. So pretty simple. Obviously, if we had one where we had a really big number times another big number, oh, not big enough, we'll times that again, and you can see now it's a positive value up there. Okay, and while we're here, we might as well say, well, what happens if we wanted to write this as an ordinary number, a decimal number? So again, like we learned before, it means that this decimal has to move 5 spots to make this a smaller number. So it'll be moving 5 spots that way. So we'll end up with 0.0000203. And you can always double check and just count again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, you've got that under control. Now, which one of these would you rather leave it as? If the question doesn't specify, well, you can leave it as either one. I would probably go with this because it looks more impressive. Okay, what if we have a calculation like so, and we want to pop that, how do we do it using our calculator? You've got a power button, which you could use, but it's used so often that there is actually I'm going to use my brackets here, there is, as you can see here, right, that button right there, just right to the right of your decimal, that is your times 10 to the, so if I now go times 10 to the 6, okay, times bracket 5.26 times 10 to the 5, it will give me my answer, which I can write down. Okay, now you by all means could use your power button, so 1.7 times 10 to the 6, then you've got to use your arrow key, times 5.26 times 10 to the 5, but you can see you are pressing a lot more buttons and you get the same answer. So let's try and use this times 10 to the button. It's really useful. Okay, it's just a bit of a rundown of scientific notation. Hopefully that reminds you and gives you the heads up so you can go and complete the set work. Good luck.